I thought this time was different, But it's the same thing.
The exact moment you finally feel secure is the exact moment they pull away.
It is.
Everything was
Guess I
going
just got a lot
perfectly.
on my mind
The
lately.
texts were consistent, the dates were amazing. You finally let your guard down. And then, overnight, a brick wall goes up. They become distant,
Don't
cold,
remind me.
suddenly
There was more ice cream
busy.
on the ceiling than
You
in the
start driving
glass.
yourself crazy, replaying every single conversation, wondering what you did wrong to ruin it. But here is the brutal psychological truth. You didn't do anything wrong. The reason they pulled away is actually because things were going exactly right. By getting closer to them, you accidentally triggered a deeply wired psychological tripwire, a subconscious survival mechanism built decades ago in their childhood. There are 7 hidden signs that someone is neurologically wired to run from intimacy. If you don't recognize them, you will spend the rest of your life blaming yourself for a psychological blueprint you didn't create. And the scariest part isn't just why they run, it's the real, unspoken reason why you keep attracting them in the first place.
I thought this time was different, But it's the same thing every time.
You know exactly what this cycle feels like. It starts with a shift so subtle you think you are imagining it. A delayed text, a cancelled plan with a perfectly logical excuse, a sudden lack of eye contact. Before you know it, you are cast in the role of the anxious detective in your own relationship. You spend
something
hours
wrong?
analysing the tone of a single message, consulting your friends and walking on eggshells, terrified that one wrong word will make them disappear completely. You convince yourself that if you are just patient enough, loving enough, and undemanding enough, they will revert back to the person they were in the beginning.
Whatever it is,
You pour all your emotional energy into making them feel safe, shrinking your own needs down to zero just to keep the connection alive. You think, if I can just prove to them that I'm not going to leave, they will finally open up. But the agonizing reality is that your warmth is exactly what is causing their frostbite. In psychology, this is known as emotional unavailability, deeply rooted in an avoidant attachment style. To a securely attached person, emotional closeness equals safety. But to an emotionally unavailable person, intimacy doesn't feel like love. It feels like a loss of autonomy. It feels like suffocation. When you get too close, their nervous system literally registers your love as a threat to their survival. They aren't pulling away because they don't care about you. They are pulling away to survive you. So you are left holding the bag, feeling heartbroken, completely convinced that you are the innocent victim of their broken attachment system. You tell yourself that you just have terrible luck in dating. You wonder why you are cursed to always find the ones who cannot love you back. But here is the hard truth that flips this entire dynamic upside down. You aren't just unluckily stumbling into emotionally unavailable people. Your brain is actively hunting them down. You aren't their victim. You're their perfect psychological match. It sounds harsh, but it is pure neuroscience. We don't fall in love with what brings us peace. We fall in love with what feels familiar. If you grew up in an environment where love was inconsistent, conditional, or something you had to constantly work for, a partner who just hands it to you freely feels completely boring. You go on a date with a secure, available person, and you tell your friends, there just wasn't a spark. Here is the terrifying truth about that spark. It isn't chemistry. It is anxiety. It is your nervous system recognizing a familiar threat. You're drawn to the emotionally unavailable person because their distance gives you a job to do. Your subconscious thinks, if I can just fix them, if I can just make this one love me, it will finally heal the rejection I felt in my past. You don't actually want their love. You want the validation of winning them over, but you cannot win a game when the other person is playing by an entirely different set of rules. And if you want to stop losing, you have to memorize their playbook. Here are the hidden signs that someone is neurologically blocked from intimacy. Sign number 1. The vulnerability hangover. They share a deep personal story with you at 2 a.m. You feel incredibly connected, but the next morning they treat you like an absolute stranger. It isn't regret. It is an emotional purge followed by an immediate panic-induced defense mechanism. Sign number 2, future faking. They love talking about one day, the trips you will take, the life you will build. But ask them to commit to a simple dinner plan next weekend. Total paralysis. The fantasy of a future is completely safe to them. The reality of the present is terrifying. Sign number 3, the Phantom X. There is always someone from their past who was perfect, but the timing was tragically wrong, or they were betrayed and claim they just can't trust anymore. Listen closely. This isn't just emotional baggage. It is a calculated shield. As long as they are fixated on a ghost, they are physically incapable of committing to you. Sign 4, hyper-independence as a weapon. They wear their self-reliance like a badge of honor. They never ask for help. They boast about not needing anyone. But this isn't strength. It is a preemptive strike. If they never rely on you, you cannot destroy them when you inevitably leave. Sign 5, the sudden flaw-finding mission. Everything is perfect for 3 months. Then, overnight, they decide your laugh is annoying, or you text too much, or your career goals don't align. Suddenly, you are fundamentally incompatible. It is not about your flaws. It is their brain desperately manufacturing an exit strategy because you finally got too close. These signs aren't just red flags. They're a blaring neon billboard telling you that you're entering a war zone unarmed. But recognizing their signs is only half the battle. To actually break the curse, you have to confront the darkest part of your own psychology. Confronting the darkest part of your own psychology means admitting a devastating truth. You have been using their emotional unavailability as a brilliant distraction from your own pain. As long as you are endlessly obsessing over why they are pulling away, you do not have to face the terrifying quiet emptiness of your own unresolved wounds. You made it your life's mission to be the exception to their rule. You subconsciously believed that if you could just be the perfect, most understanding partner, your love would be the ultimate cure for their trauma. But you cannot love someone into emotional health. You cannot rewrite their childhood by abandoning your own boundaries in the present. To finally break this exhausting, soul-crushing cycle, you must undergo a brutal detox from the addiction to conditional love. You have to stop chasing the intoxicating high of the anxious spark and start retraining your nervous system to tolerate peace. True emotional intimacy does not feel like a roller coaster. It does not leave you staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., acting as a forensic analyst over a 3-word text message. It feels steady. It feels grounding. And at first, to a brain that is hardwired for chaos, that steadiness is going to feel incredibly boring. But you must realize that this boredom is actually the sensation of safety. You must grieve the magnificent fantasy of who you desperately wanted them to be and accept the cold reality of what they are actually offering you, which is nothing but emotional crumbs. You did not fail because they closed off. You were set up to fail from the exact moment the connection began, because you were playing a rigged game against a neurological defense mechanism that fundamentally rejects victory. The exact moment you finally break the curse is the moment you realize your worth is not a debate, a negotiation, or a prize to be extracted from someone who is incapable of giving it. You stop agonizing over why they did not choose you, and you finally look in the mirror and ask why you kept choosing someone who couldn't. You walk away, not because you hate them, but because you absolutely refuse to abandon yourself for one more second.
This is exactly what I meant. You never listen, Emily. It's these little mistakes that ruin everything.
Why did he say that? I shouldn't have called him.
But walking away is only the first agonizing step. Tomorrow morning, your nervous system is going to panic. It will crave the familiar chaos, begging you to send just one more text, to check their social media just one more time, or to dive right back into the comfortable illusion. To permanently rewire your brain for that steady grounding peace we just talked about, you need a completely new set of psychological tools. That is exactly what we break down in the video on your screen right now. In it, I will show you the exact step-by-step framework to silence that anxious panic and finally make the boring sensation of safety feel like home. Click it right now, because your days of settling for emotional crumbs are officially over. I will see you there.
This time was different, this.